Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into some source material sent in by one of you, actually.
Oh, great.
Yeah, on a topic that, well, it feels like everyone's grappling with. Cloud transformation. You hear the term all the time, but what does a, successful journey actually look like?
It's definitely more complicated than just like moving your stuff online.
Right.
And this source today, it gives us a pretty clear roadmap. It's an article, Best Practices for a Successful Cloud Transformation Journey. The author's Jay Tillotson, published on Techshift, March 12th, 2025.
Okay. Jay Tillotson. And the article mentions his background, says he's got over 25 years right in the middle of it all.
Yeah, IT strategy, cloud projects, technical operations. He's been there, done that.
You can kind of feel that experience coming through, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. He makes this really critical point right at the start. Cloud transformation, he says, it's not just a tech upgrade. Not at all.
So what is it then?
He frames it as like a fundamental reinvention, how your whole organization creates and delivers value. It's like changing the core engine, not just a tune-up.
That's a big shift in thinking.
Yeah.
Not just an IT project, but a business transformation.
Exactly.
So our mission here in this deep dive is to pull out the key wisdom from Jay Tillotson's article. Those best practices, he argues, that decision makers, like you listening, really need to consider for this journey.
Yeah, help cut through some of the noise, figure out what's actually important.
Mm-hmm.
And the article, it boils it down pretty neatly into 6 core practices. Think of them as the essential steps on that journey he talks about.
All right, let's get into it. Step 1 on the roadmap. Tillotson starts with something that, well, it sounds simple, but maybe gets skipped. Begin with a comprehensive assessment.
Foundational. Absolutely foundational. The article really stresses this. Before you take even one tiny step towards the cloud, you have to know exactly where you're starting from.
Like plotting a course across the ocean. You need your current coordinates first.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You wouldn't just sail off randomly, right? Same idea. You need that baseline.
And he breaks down what that assessment actually involves. First up, inventory applications and dependencies.
Right. This means mapping out everything, all your applications, how data moves between them, all those like tangled connections.
Why is that so critical?
Well, Tillotson says this is how you avoid hitting traps later. You move one thing, turns out it needed 5 other things you left behind. Or, even worse, you just end up rebuilding your old, inefficient setup in the cloud.
So you just move the mess.
Exactly. You're not just moving furniture. You got to understand the house's whole structure first. Avoid moving those leaky pipes, as you said.
Got it. Okay, next assessment piece. Benchmark costs and performance.
Yeah, you need a clear picture of your current spend, your total cost of ownership. And that's not just servers and licenses, right? It's power, cooling, the staff time managing it all.
All the hidden stuff.
All of it. Then compare that to what you think the cloud will cost. But, and the article makes a big point of this, you have to factor in the cloud's advantages, like scalability, elasticity. Exactly. Being able to grow or shrink easily, handle sudden peaks in demand, and maybe, just maybe, reduce some of that day-to-day operational grind. It's not just a simple server-to-server cost comparison.
Okay, and the third part of assessment, facing the technical debt.
Well, yes, the legacy systems. Tillotson is pretty blunt here. You have to look hard at those old systems. Which ones are just draining money? Which are security risks?
And decide what to do with them.
Right. Can you just lift and shift them? Do they need serious work refactoring to actually work well in the cloud? Or is it time to just say goodbye and retire them?
So the big takeaway from this first practice, according to the article, is that this assessment, it's not just paperwork.
Not at all. It's an absolute foundation. You need it to make sure your transformation actually adds value instead of just, moving your problem somewhere else.
And for you listening, skipping this,
Right.
well, the article implies it's a really common and really costly mistake.
Oh, for sure. Leads to budget blowouts, delays, massive frustration down the line when something critical doesn't work.
Makes total sense. Okay, let's move to practice number 2. Align cloud goals with business objectives.
Yeah, this is where that reinvention idea really comes into focus. The source is super clear. Cloud transformation cannot be just an IT thing. It absolutely must connect tightly with what the business is actually trying to achieve strategically.
So that tech serves the strategy, not the other way around.
Yeah.
How does the article say you make that connection real?
By defining measurable outcomes, don't just have a goal like move to the cloud. That's too vague.
Right.
You need clear, quantifiable goals tied to business value. Tillotson gives examples like, are you trying to cut time to market for new products by, say, 30%, or reduce infrastructure costs by 50% over 3 years?
Or maybe improve customer experience somehow.
Exactly. Using cloud capabilities to do something new for customers. Make the goal specific, make them measurable.
Concrete goals.
Okay.
And then prioritizing workloads strategically.
Yeah, don't try to boil the ocean. Don't move everything at once in some massive big bang.
Probably risky.
Very. The article advises starting smarter. Pick applications that are maybe lower risk, not critical yet, so you can learn safely, or pick ones that are high impact.
High impact meaning.
Meaning moving them delivers quick, visible value. That builds momentum, gets people excited, builds support inside the company.
Get those early wins. That makes sense. Which probably connects to the next point. Secure executive sponsorship.
Oh, absolutely critical. Non-negotiable, really. You need senior leaders on board.
Why them specifically?
Well, they control the resources, right? The
Yep.
budget, the people. They can also break down barriers between different departments, the political stuff that always crops up.
Yeah.
And they act as champions for the change across the whole organization.
Mhm.
Without that top-level backing, these things often just stall out.
And the article points out a specific danger here, treating cloud just as an IT initiative.
Right. If it only lives inside the IT department, it just won't get the strategic focus or the buy-in from other departments or that crucial executive support it needs for real transformation.
So it stays tactical, not strategic.
Exactly. It ends up being just a technical migration, not that bigger business shift.
So for you listening, the key is making sure your cloud plans aren't just understood by the business, but are actively driving those business goals.
Precisely. It's not about IT efficiency just for the sake of it.
Which leads nicely into best practice number 3. Select the right cloud model and partners.
Yeah, because the source rightly points out, there's no single best cloud that fits everyone. It's not one size fits all.
Depends on your needs, I guess.
Totally. This is where that assessment from practice 1 and the objectives from practice 2 really guide you. Tillotson breaks down the common models, public cloud, for instance.
Like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud.
Right. He says it's often great for massive scalability, getting access to the latest tech quickly, and for applications that were, born in the cloud digital native stuff.
Kind of like a utility. Pay for what you use, scale up or down easily.
Exactly. Then there's hybrid cloud. The article suggests this is often a good fit for industries with heavy regulations like finance or healthcare, where maybe some data has to stay on premises.
Or for a gradual move.
Yeah, or for organizations migrating slowly or needing to keep strong connections to legacy systems they just can't move yet. It's like having a foot in both worlds, on-prem and public cloud.
Okay, and multi-cloud, using more than one public provider.
That approach, according to Tillotson, can help you avoid getting locked into just one vendor, gives you leverage.
Makes sense.
It can also help optimize costs, maybe using one provider for compute and another for, say, data storage if they have better pricing. Or you might use specific best-in-class services only available on one platform, like a really strong AI tool.
Wow, okay, lots of options. It sounds complex, and the article says you might not need to figure this all out alone.
Correct. Getting help is a key recommendation. Engaging expert partners, third-party advisors, specialist integrators can be invaluable.
People who've done this before.
Exactly. They've seen the common pitfalls. They understand the nuances between providers. They can help you make informed choices and avoid really costly mistakes down the road.
They've seen the movie, you haven't.
Yeah.
And connected to that is negotiating flexible contracts.
Yeah, this is important. Your cloud needs will change. A lot, especially during a transformation.
So you don't want to be locked in.
Right. The article advises making sure your contracts let you adapt. Scale services up or down, change direction maybe, without being stuck in rigid long-term deals that just don't fit your needs anymore.
So for you navigating this, the message seems to be understand your specific needs first, match them carefully to the right model or models, and don't be afraid to lean on outside experts.
That really sums it up. That covers the tech and the structure. But next up is practice 4, and it shifts focus. Foster a cloud-first culture.
The people side. Jay Tillotson really emphasizes this, doesn't he? It's not just about the tech.
Not even close. The article is really clear. Technology enables, but it's the people who drive the transformation. And a huge piece of that is upskilling your workforce.
So training, getting certifications, hands-on learning.
All of it. The goal, he says, is to build cloud fluency, and not just in the core IT team, but across developers, operations, maybe even business analysts who need to understand what the cloud makes possible.
Everyone needs a basic understanding.
Yeah, how to leverage these new tools and ways of working.
And a big part of that new way of working is adopting DevOps practices.
Right. This is all about breaking down the traditional walls between the teams that build the software development and the teams that run it, operations. Much tighter collaboration.
And the article mentions key elements, automation.
Automation is huge, yes.
Hmm.
Also things like continuous integration and continuous delivery, usually called CI/CD.
Okay, CI/CD. What does that actually mean for a company trying to move faster? Like in practice?
Good question. Think of it like an automated assembly line for software. CI, continuous integration, means developers merge their code changes together frequently, maybe multiple times a day. And automated tests run constantly to catch bugs super early.
Okay, catch problems fast.
Right. And CD, continuous delivery, takes that tested code and automates the process of getting it ready to be released to users. The point of all this is speed and reliability.
Ah.
It lets you push out new features, updates, fixes much, much faster and more safely than the old ways. We're talking days or hours potentially instead of weeks or months. Big difference in responding to the market.
That makes a lot more sense now. Speed and reliability through automation.
Okay.
And the last part of the culture piece, managing change proactively.
Yeah, because change is hard. There's almost always going to be some resistance.
Sure. People get comfortable.
Exactly. So the article says you need to tackle this directly. Communicate the benefits. Why are we doing this? What's in it for us? Clearly, repeatedly. Celebrate those early wins we talked about. Show people it's working.
Make it tangible.
And crucially, find and empower cloud champions. People within different teams who are enthusiastic, who get it, and who can help bring their colleagues along.
The article has a pro tip here that seems spot on.
Yeah, it says, transformation is as much about mindset as it is about technology. Invest in both.
Because if the team isn't ready or willing, the best tech in the world won't help much.
You got it. It's a critical point, often underestimated. Okay, so you've got the tech, the people are getting ready. Now you need control. Practice number 5. Establish robust governance and security.
Right, because cloud environments are super dynamic, aren't they? The source says they need constant oversight, vigilant oversight.
Yes. First step, centralized governance. The article uses a neat analogy, create a control tower.
A control tower, what does that do?
It's basically a central function or team that sets the rules of the road for using the cloud across the whole company. They define standards, monitor who's using what, keep an eye on costs to prevent surprises.
Avoid bill shock.
Definitely avoid bill shock. And ensure everyone's following compliance rules, regulations, internal policies. It's how you maintain order in what could otherwise become chaos.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay.
And for security, the source talks about zero trust security. That sounds intense.
It's a different way of thinking and pretty essential in the cloud. The old way was like a castle and moat trust everything inside the walls. Zero trust says, nope, trust nothing by default.
Verify everything.
Constantly, every user, every device, every access request needs to be verified again and again. The article highlights key actions, encrypting your data everywhere, not just when it's sitting still at rest, but also when it's moving across networks in transit.
And constant monitoring.
Continuous monitoring for threats, absolutely. Because the threats are always evolving. You can't just set up a firewall and forget it.
So it's a fundamental shift in how you approach security. And that ties into monitoring and optimizing continuously, right?
Exactly. Using smart tools to track everything in real time. Performance, who's using which resources, and critically, the costs. Because cloud is pay-as-you-go, that monitoring lets you spot waste or inefficiencies quickly.
And make adjustments.
Yeah, make proactive changes to keep things running smoothly, securely, and cost-effectively. It's not a one-and-done setup, it's ongoing care and feeding.
So for you listening, moving to the cloud doesn't mean security and governance go away. It just changes.
Right, the responsibility shifts, but it's still there. You need new strategies, new tools for this new dynamic environment to keep control and protect your organization.
Absolutely. Which brings us neatly to the final best practice, number 6. Embrace iterative progress and continuous improvement.
Yes. Jay Tillotson makes this point really strongly. Cloud transformation is a journey, not a destination you just arrive at.
Not a one-time project with an end date.
Exactly. That perspective is crucial. So the article recommends starting small, then scaling fast. Don't try to do everything at once.
Pilot projects first. Minimum viable products.
Yeah, launch something contained for a specific application or workload, test your strategy, get real feedback, learn what works in your context, and then refine your approach before you tackle the really big, complex stuff.
Learn fast, maybe fail cheap if necessary.
That's the idea. And adopting agile methodologies fits right in here. Working in short cycles, getting feedback constantly, being able to pivot or adjust priorities quickly as the business needs change or as you learn more.
Flexible, adaptable.
Very. And then constantly reviewing and optimizing. The article suggests regular audits, maybe quarterly, maybe even monthly.
Auditing what?
Checking costs, performance, security, but also checking alignment back to those business goals you set way back in practice too. Are we still getting the value we expected? Are there new cloud services we should be using now?
It's about maximizing that value over the long haul.
Squeezing the most out of the platform continuously.
So for you, the mindset is really long-term, isn't it? And adaptable. The work isn't over when the migration finishes.
Not at all. It becomes an ongoing cycle of refinement, improvement, looking for the next opportunity.
That makes sense. It's a continuous loop.
It is. And the article, it kind of wraps up by mentioning some lessons from the field, common themes the author saw in companies that actually succeeded with this.
And those lessons, they sound like they just reinforce these 6 practices, right?
Pretty much, the successful ones. They did the thorough planning up front. They explicitly linked it to business strategy. They got their people ready, changed the culture. They built in governance and security from the start, not as an afterthought.
And they committed to that continuous improvement loop.
Exactly. Those lessons are basically what happens when you apply these 6 practices well. They didn't just move stuff, they fundamentally transformed how they operated.
Okay, so as we kind of wrap up our deep dive into this Techshift article, Jay Tillotson finishes with a really potent question for leaders.
Yeah, he puts it right out there. Are you treating cloud transformation as a finite project or as an ongoing driver of business innovation and agility?
Wow. Yeah, that framing, it changes everything about how you'd approach it, doesn't it?
It really does, and his final thought builds on that. He says it's not just about playing catch-up anymore. It's about using the cloud to leap ahead.
How?
By bringing together the technology, the talent, the skilled people, and the business strategy, all pointing towards a shared vision. And he uses this great metaphor. The cloud isn't just a destination you reach.
It's a launch pad.
It's a launch pad. That image is powerful, I think. It shifts your focus completely. It's not about the effort of getting to the cloud. It's about what you can do once you're there.
What it enables.
Right. Continuous innovation, adapting really quickly to changes, maybe pursuing totally new business opportunities that just weren't possible before, technically or economically.
Okay, so pulling all this together from Jay Tillotson's article, here's a final thought maybe for you to chew on.
Go for it.
How can you, in your role, in your organization, actively shift that perspective? Move away from just thinking about migrating or adopting the cloud.
To genuinely seeing it as that necessary launch pad, the platform for constant innovation, for future opportunities specific to your world. And maybe even what's one small specific iterative step you could take, maybe even this week, that comes from thinking of the cloud as that launch pad rather than just, the new server room.